As you can see, I'm quite poor.
Bruh.
So anyways, let's fix that. Wait. Did you actually think that I was gonna go mine for diamonds, like some peasant? No. Now since I'm playing on an SMP, another great way to make diamonds beside mining is to sell useful stuff to the other players. And what's something useful that pretty much every player at some point in a Minecraft world will need? Well, concrete. Because if I, for example, head over to my neighbor's house, he has used concrete, 2 types of concrete, so right here and right here, just for this little thing. And many other people will use concrete at some point during their builds. However, to set up a concrete shop and craft up plenty of concrete, we will need a few things. Now, first one is obviously the basic ones, which is lots of sand and gravel. However, we will also, of course, need lots of dye to obviously color the concrete. So anyways, let's start with kind of the most annoying thing firstly, which is a dye farm. So anyways, let's make a dye farm. But before we make a dye farm, let's think a bit strategically. Now, a dye farm will get us pretty much every kind of dye we can possibly get, beside the black dye. Now, how do you get black dye? Well, you get the black dye from, for example, ink. And how do you get ink? Well, from squid. And how can you get plenty of squids? Well, make a squid farm. Put 2 and 2 together, let's make an overpowered squid farm. Now, I have a squid farm designed that should produce around 4,500 ink sacks as in black dyes an hour, which should allow me to get pretty much all the black dye I will ever need within just a couple hours of AFKing. So anyways, let's find a good area to build this farm, and yeah. Alright, as you can see, I just built a portal right out here in the ocean. That way we can easily travel between the nether and this area. So anyways, as you can see, we have a huge area with lots of water, which will allow us to make a pretty big and pretty good squid farm. So anyways, let's go back to our base, grab a bunch of resources that we hopefully have, and yeah, then make ourselves a really nice 4,500 ink sacks an hour squid farm. So anyways, let's get into it. Alright, so the squid farm has been completed. Now, I have made a little AFK room on top of here, and I've done some other stuff here, but I'm gonna talk about that later. But yeah, as you can see, and also based on the time lapse, which I hopefully show though, I have to use a rocket, and I have legit 2 more rockets to my name, so it's gonna be annoying getting back home, but yeah, as you can see, we have the squid farm, and this squid farm is honestly so overpowered. Let me show you. So I've stood AFK for a few hours while I've been at work today, and a couple hours while I've been at work yesterday, and some at school too, I believe. And look at this. We have ink, we have ink, we have more ink, and even more ink. We have gotten so many double chests of ink. This is honestly enough ink for probably the rest of the season, depending on how much black concrete people want to buy. And yeah, I can honestly fill up probably all these chests with, well, not too long of an AFK session, which is pretty nice. So yeah, anyways, now that we have the black dye sorted out, let's head back up and talk about some more building plans, or farm plans. Because even though we now have a black dye, we will obviously need, well, a lot of other colors, so more dyes and different kind of dyes. And how do you get a bunch of other kinds of dyes? Well, making a dye farm. Yeah, anyways, we have a little AFK room right here, and then I've started building this thing which I want to build, well, pretty much what I have here. I want to build this all around the rest of this area. So what do we have right here in the middle is pretty much one chunk, then we have another chunk right here, and then at the end right here we have a third chunk. What I want to do is pretty much fill this grass patch right here, and the 3 more grass patches I want to have all around the other sides with other kind of farms. So for the dye farm, I want to start by building one dye farm right here. So anyways, I think for now the main thing we want to do is craft ourselves or make ourselves up an actual dye farm that will produce pretty much every other dye beside black, which we then obviously get from down here, right on top of here. So anyways, let's have a painful trip back to our base, grab up some more resources, then head back here and yeah, make up a dye farm. Guys, as you can see, I finished a very simple and very basic and small, yet very decent dye farm. So now we should be able to get all the dyes I would ever need, right? Right? Apparently not. So I kind of forgot a couple things and a couple dyes that you do not get from these farms. So apparently I have to make a couple more farms that I kind of forgot about. Who knew making a concrete shop would be so hard and take so much effort? So anyways, before I talk about those, let me show you the farm. So pretty much how this works is that I place the flour I want inside here, fill up this dispenser or chest with bone meal, then I simply turn on the farm and I get a bunch of flowers. Now I have quite a few of the flowers I will need for the different dyes right here. Shout out to GS's flower shop. So let's say I want, for example, a blue dye. I grab one of these blue flowers, I climb right up here, then I simply place this down here, and let's say I grab about a stack of bone meal, which should give me about 9 stacks of flowers. I then simply head down here, turn on this farm, and as you can see, it starts spawning plenty of flowers. And I can of course use this farm for all the other kind of flowers. However, I have a little problem. Apparently, like I mentioned, there are 2 different dyes you do not get from the squid farm or from this farm. And what are those? There are 2 different dyes I'm missing. One is a brown dye, which we obviously get from cocoa beans, but then the second one, the main one, is green. And I have no idea how I forgot about green. But I guess for green, how do you get green dye? Well, from cactus. How can you get a bunch of cactus? Cactus farm. So anyways, let's make the last farm we should hopefully need, cactus farm. And of course some ways to get a bunch of cocoa beans. So anyways, let's go. Oh, look at that cactus farm, guys. So I built a cactus farm. I've used it a lot. And I've also built some other farms. We have some sugarcane farms and, you know, some bamboo stuff, but we're gonna ignore that. We don't need to worry about that for now, as those are not important for this video. So as you can see, we have this farm and it produces an absolutely insane amount of cactus. And I obviously needed a way to get some brown dyes. We have planted some cocoa beans right here, but we don't need to farm any more of that, because if I look over here, as you can see, we have colored shulkers. Can you imagine what's in these 16 different colored shulkers? A full stack of every kind of dye we could possibly need to make whatever concrete we will need. And I have exactly 1 shulker box full of every piece of dye, and of course quite a bit of extra dye. So I guess now that we have all the dyes we need for this concrete shop, we only really have one more thing we need to get. Well, kind of 2, and that is a bunch of sand and a bunch of gravel. So you know what they say when you go out to harvest the forest? Deforestation. Let's do the same with the desert and some stony shores. So anyways, let's go out, find a desert and the desert station. That desert English is a confusing language, but anyways, let's find a desert, get absolutely all the sand we could ever need, and yeah.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, so I have done a couple of things in between the last couple of clips. I've also built a gold farm, but ignore that for now. So I went out and like I said, I needed a bunch of sand and a bunch of gravel. So I did some quick math and I realized that I would need about half a shulker of sand and half of gravel to make 1 full shulker box of concrete. So anyways, with that I realized that because there are 16 different colors, I would end up needing 16 shulkers of sand and gravel, which means 8 shulkers of sand and 8 of gravel. But anyways, I went out and I got 8 shulkers of sand, 8 of gravel, and I didn't really record any of it, but while I was bored last night, I ended up crafting up all the concrete we would ever need. Well, that's a bit exaggeration. If someone were to buy more than 1 shulker of white, I obviously need to make more. But of course, it is quite easy getting sand and gravel. You just find a desert to, you know, destroy. And but yeah, now we have 1 full shulker box of every kind of colored concrete, which is gonna be amazing. And I'm planning on selling the concrete for 1 diamond per stack. And you know what? That means that since 1 shulker has 27 stacks, we have 16 shulkers. That is 422 stacks of concrete. And you know what that means? That means that will give us 432 diamonds, which is pretty good. And that is hopefully going to get us a bit more rich than the 4 or 5 diamonds I had earlier. So you know what? I guess all we need to do now is head over to the shopping district and actually build ourselves a shop. Alright, so we have built this, well, I was about to say beautiful. I don't think it's that beautiful. It's strange. We'll talk about it. But I have built a shop and I have set up some shulkers with the concrete that we are selling. So we have 1 full shulker of each concrete, as you can see, or each kind of concrete, which is hopefully going to make us plenty of diamonds. Oh, and we have already made some. Look at that. So 3 diamonds of black. Oh. Wow, two diamond blocks of white already. I have to say, people love concrete. Oh, a diamond of lime too. That is amazing. Now we have already made quite a few diamonds, and I legit made this shop last night, which is pretty incredible. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier, concrete is the perfect material to sell because a lot of people need concrete. So now that we have built this, all we gotta do now is just wait for the diamonds to reek in, and last season it didn't take that long before I got some bulk orders, so obviously that ended up making me quite a lot of diamonds. So I guess we just gotta wait around and we'll probably make even more diamonds. Now to talk about the design, this design was made last season by a good friend of mine, Lockley. However, the design did not end up getting used as a shop because we moved the concrete shop into a building and we did not get used to this design, so I took some inspiration from his design last season and I decided to use it here because I kinda like it. It works, but at the same time it doesn't. It looks horrendous, but at the same time it looks kinda nice. I have no idea how to describe it. It's weird. And also, what's going on here? Now to say, I think the shop looking a bit weird definitely works in some ways, because if you're going through the portal and you're heading down to the shopping district, if you run out here, you notice the concrete shop quite easily. I mean, just walking down here, you kind of see it in your bottom corner and you're like, what is that blob of concrete blocks? And I mean, you instantly know what it sells, you instantly know where it is. It's just absolutely perfect. So I think this is gonna be a pretty good and hopefully quite successful shop. So anyways, I guess as we have finished quite a lot of work in the industrial district, we have built some farms that allowed us to build this shop. I think that is pretty much it for this one. So anyways, that is it for this one. So yeah, thanks for watching and I hope you found this GuildRock episode interesting. So anyways, I guess that is it for this one and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.